I've grown up my whole life of 53 years, okay, maybe a little bit less, thinking that in order to want to do something or to just do it, I need to be motivated to do it, unless it has a deadline that ends in 10 minutes. And while it's true that we do need motivation to give us that willpower we need to achieve anything or improve ourselves, and that without it we wouldn't even have the motivation, well, we wouldn't even have the will to live. It's not true, or rather misunderstood, that you necessarily need motivation to become inspired to get to work. It's actually an endless loop between motivation and action. Well, only endless if you actually enter it, which is why entering it by having to be motivated in the first place has a few issues. The main one being, you're not always motivated. Whereas if you just started to do it, despite not being motivated, and told yourself that you're just going to do it for 5 minutes, and just threw yourself into it, you'd then already be in that loop, by starting with the action. And despite not being motivated in the first place, by acting upon it, you become motivated. It's called the do something principle, very creative name, and it comes from a number of places. The one I know it from is from this book, The Subtle Art of Not Giving Up by Mark Manson. And I know this sort of contradicts the issue at hand. You're not motivated to do something, so you're not doing that thing. So why are you suddenly just going to be able to do that thing? Well, the short answer to this is self-discipline. But there are a few other things you can do to help with this. When you're not motivated to do that thing, it's the whole thing that you're not motivated to do. That entire essay, or all those hours you'd have to spend, whatever. But if you told yourself, or just decided to do 5 minutes for now, and maybe just write a few sentences of that script, it's more something that you can just make yourself do. Then you'll see the progress you've made, no matter how small, and assuming you actually like the bigger picture of where this is bringing you and what this is going towards, you'll most likely want to do more of it. And now you've entered this loop. By acting first, you'll make a bit of progress, even if it's just a small amount. Then you'll be slightly more inspired by this progress that you've made, which will in turn make you more motivated to get more of this progress, which is done with action, and so you'll feel more motivated to act again. And this almost acts like a flywheel as well, which is why sometimes you get into those really productive states where you're doing a lot of work and sort of enjoying it even though it is work. And another thing that I often use to get myself that little bit of will to throw myself into the task at hand is to look back on past progress and achievements. Often, right before scripting a video or editing a video, I will look back at past scripts and edits of my videos to get that little reminder of what I've done in the past, which also acts as an inspiration to what I can do now, whether I think my past work was good or bad. Bad because then your goal is to do better than that. And this gives me a sense of direction. Often the biggest reason for not having that will to start doing that task in the first place is that lack of specificity on what it is exactly you're doing. So past knowing the task you need to do, try and break it down to the point where it's more something that you can see yourself doing without too much commitment to doing it or much willpower needed. To bring this to yet another personal example, planning a video. I know I often use making one of my videos as an example, but the idea is the more I do it, the more I'll understand it, and so hopefully the better I'll be able to explain it. At first I may think of it as I have to plan a video. Then I'll narrow it down to I need to decide the topic for this video. Then brainstorm some points to make for that topic, do further research on each point, plan the order of the points in the video, write a quick first draft, refine the draft in the final script, and finally plan the different B-roll shots I would like. Now back to what I was saying about tracking your past progress and successes. This also sort of increases your confidence you have in yourself to do more, which in case you hadn't guessed it already, also increases how motivated you are to do it. So to help use this to your advantage, you can track all your progress and successes throughout your day or at the end of every day or week. And the final note on that is to be aware of how far you have to go, but only really focus and measure your progress. Measure the progress and not the gap. So the next thing that you can do, or rather should do, is to keep an internal locus of control. It's sort of tied to confidence as well, as in it makes you more confident, which, as I said earlier, boosts your motivation to do that something. I won't bore you with all the people that studied it and the trials done on it, but I will leave some further resources down below in the description in case you'd like to look at this more or further. Basically, you want to keep an internal locus of control, which means that you feel it's your choice, or rather, you're in control of doing the task you're doing, and that you've achieved what you have because of your actions are not purely down to external factors, like winning the lottery. Keeping that internal locus of control helps you feel more motivated to do that thing. Nobody likes to play a game where they don't have any control over what happens. Along with believing that you are the cause for your successes, no matter how small, and let's be honest, that's probably the case for most of us, you can also replace words like can't or have to want to, get to, or don't. This small change makes it feel as though it's in your control and your choice, keeping that internal locus of control. Okay, so far we've talked a lot about the short term for staying motivated, but there are also a few things you can do to stay motivated in the long term. This one's a bit trickier because the reward, the goal, is a lot further down the road, and so we often forget why we're doing this in the first place. Even though doing this paperwork is a step you need to take towards making loads of money, and practicing this same thing over and over again is what it takes to get better at doing that entire trick, our brain doesn't always see it like this. It's too far in the future. And although there aren't any easy fixes to this, you can at least try and make your goal as quantitative and emotional as possible. The more precise and the stronger the desire you have for achieving that goal, the clearer the message will be to your amygdala and so your frontal lobe. This is important as your amygdala is responsible for the emotional response of being motivated to achieve that goal, and your frontal lobe does all the problem solving to interpret this goal into what you need to do to achieve it. And the reason why more emotion and a stronger desire to achieve this goal is really important is best understood by the fact that your brain literally changes its structure to be better suited to achieve this goal. The structure changing thing is actually called neuroplasticity, and it happens quite often, so it's nothing to get too worried about, but just understand why it's important for you to have a solid long-term goal that you have a strong desire to achieve. This is also why it's good for patients with degenerative diseases in the brain such as multiple sclerosis, as this goal setting has also been found to help heal their brains. Not much, but something. And just in case the quantitative thing didn't stick, I hope that's the right word, what I mean by this is something that you can consistently imagine. I realise that doesn't help whatsoever, so I'll bring this example to money. Saying you want to be able to retire with a decent amount of money isn't specific enough. To help with this, you can start writing down some specific requirements and then work down from there to find a more specific number. To keep it a nice round number, let's say $1 million. Aiming for $1 million is a lot better than aiming for a good amount of money, as it's something that you can actually grasp the size of and maybe even the effort that needs to go in to get it. It's also important for this goal to be ambitious, that way you will know that there will have to be a lot of work to go into it, so your brain will make you more motivated to get there. And just as importantly, you shouldn't be over ambitious to the point that you don't even really believe yourself that you can achieve this. Ambitious but doable. To help with being doable while still being ambitious, you should have a plan along with your goal. Having a system reduces the friction of what to do next, which, as I said earlier, reduces your motivation, reduces the friction of having to think about what to do next. This system should also break down the end goal that you're trying to get to into more specific chunks so that you feel more capable of doing each chunk, and so in turn will increase your confidence in being able to do this. And I'm explaining this for the long term, but it can also be used and should be used for the short term, as I said earlier about how I plan a video. Alright, so that pretty much wraps it up for this video, and I do hope you learned at least something about how you can feel more motivated about what you're doing right now, and just for life in general. If you do feel like it and have any feedback, please do leave a comment down below in the description to give me some feedback and to potentially help anyone down there reading too. And a lot of you watching right now probably found my channel through Damien from Damien Talks Money. Great channel, by the way, if you haven't already heard of him and would like to learn about your taxes, finances and investing. Having said that out loud, I realise that it seems pretty boring, but anything is interesting if taught properly and in an enjoyable way, which is exactly what he does really well. It's rare that you can find yourself laughing out loud all by yourself or watching a video and can still say that you're learning about your taxes. So I just wanted to give a huge thanks to you, and I'm so grateful I don't even really know what to say. Anyway, if you would like to support me in this video, you can give the video a like, which would be greatly appreciated, as not only will it help show me your support, but will also help boost this video in the YouTube algorithm, which means hopefully more people will see it, and so hopefully this channel can grow so I can continue uploading videos just like this, or rather more improved videos just like this. Anyway, thank you for your time and I hope to see you in my next video.